Welcome, fight fans, again at TitleFight.com. Got on the line Brandon Stubbs, Steve Gallegos, and Gordy Tamayo. Going to be touching base on last night's HBO card, as well as a couple other hot topics that have been hitting the boxing world recently. And so, just to kick things off, we're going to jump right into the main event of the evening on the HBO televised card. We had hard-hitting the Crusher, Sergey Kovalev, taking on relatively unknown Cedric Agnew, undefeated fighter. Coming in from the Detroit area, I believe he's from, if I'm right. And, not a lot of people were actually giving Agnew any kind of shot at all as a maintaining himself, but came in, showed some really good defense, just wasn't really offensive at all. And after, about 6 rounds or so, Kovalev started to put the pressure on him. Eventually, Agnew folded. Brennan, how can we chalk up this win against Kovalev as far as where he's progressing in his reign to make it to the top of the food chain in the light heavyweight division?
I mean, this was kind of a key busy fight for him. Unfortunately, he did suffer some cuts due to some headbutts there in the fight, so this will kind of prolong for him getting back in the ring as far as this year goes. But this was a key busy fight for him to stay active, stay loosened up, stay warmed, and he did his job out there. Agnew really had no chance. Actually shows that Kovalev does have some holes. He was able to hit hit Kovalev when he threw, but Agnew just didn't throw enough and have enough power behind his shots to do much of any sort of damage against Kovalev. So it was pretty much just business as usual for the Crusher out there last night.
Yeah, and unfortunately for him, it seems like the options are running thinner and thinner now. That he was on a collision course that HBO was trying to map out, and a lot of us were looking forward to seeing as well with him and Adonis Stevenson. As many people know, Adonis Stevenson jumped ship, signed with well-known manager Al Heyman, power player Al Heyman, and he's going to be jumping on the Showtime ship over here. Steve, let me get your take on this portion here now. What's on deck for Kovalev? What are his options here, and what would you like to see?
His options, are very limited at this point, being the fact that the other big player at light heavyweight is Bernard Hopkins. He's promoted by Golden Boy and tied to Showtime, and now Stevenson making that move. There's not very many options for him at light heavyweight. Honestly, the dream matchup I would love to see, believe it or not, is for him to fight Triple G. Triple G is another fighter that's going to be well avoided, that no top fighters are going to want to fight because he hits too hard. I mean, these two guys don't avoid anybody, so why not fight each other? Maybe fight at a catch weight, 170 pounds, or have, Triple G move up to light heavyweight. He's going to have to go there eventually if he wants to make some bigger money. So, let's see that one.
Okay, that's an option for him there. Brandon, what's your take on the whole thing with Stevenson jumping over to Showtime deal? I mean, do you see that as him ducking, or is he just planning for retirement, and can't really knock the guy for making a business move like he did? What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, he said, it's a business, and with him, starting off the boxing at such a late stage in life, he's 36 right now, and that's something I think a lot of people kind of let escape him, given he just became a star and a name over the last couple of years. But he's 36 years old, so as far as him being able to fight at a peak, that time is starting to run out on him. So, I mean, him signing with Al Heyman and him trying to maximize his dollars the rest of the time he's able to fight, I can't knock him for that. But I said this once before when this fight was being buzzed about, when he was still with HBO. He was going to avoid Kovalev at any and all costs. He was going to find every excuse he could. Mm-hmm. Now he's got the Showtime Al Heyman factor involved, so that'll be a fight we'll never see because, according to Stephen Espinoza, the Showtime executive who controls a lot of their fights in the programming as far as Showtime Sports goes, Kovalev is locked into a long-term deal with HBO as far as fights go, so it's something we're never going to see anytime soon. If we do see it, it'll be past expiration date, and it will not be entertaining to watch.
Yeah, Kovalev was very vocal about his opinion of Adonis Stevenson at the post-fight interview last night, and so don't think we are going to end up seeing a matchup like this taking place, which is very unfortunate for a lot of fans. That was on one of my top of one of my lists here for fights that I wanted to see as a dream matchup for 2014 as well. So it's unfortunate. Going forward here, speaking of Al Heyman, the guy that's behind the scenes, but one of the biggest power players in the sport, if not arguably the biggest power player here. Steve, let me get your take on this first here. Helping or hurting the sport, and why is it such, in your opinion?
It's a little bit of both, kind of a 50-50 deal here, because Al Heyman is, bringing in all these fighters, to fight on Showtime and, Golden Boy cards, and they got a lot of talent. They're running things in boxing. Showtime is running things in terms of network, and HBO is, starting to become more on the back burner, putting on cards like we saw last night. Who wants to see that night in and night out, putting on double headers, that fight fans really don't care about, with Showtime putting on, triple, quadruple headers on regular TV, that's saying a lot. They're thinking about the fans. So it's a bad thing in the fact that a lot of the best fights are not going to be made because there are, a lot of good fighters that fight for both networks, and we can see a lot of good dream matchups. This is the reason why we have not seen Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather, being the fact that, this Cold War and fighters belonging to certain managers, certain promoters, networks, etc. So if you're going to say which one is, if it is more better or worse, I'd say it's more better.
Okay. What about you, Brandon? What's your take?
For the fighters aspect of it, they're getting paid, so it's good for them. And that's really what it all boils down to. Us fans, we can dictate what happens by just not watching these fights, by not going to these events. If people don't show up, if people don't watch, the money won't flow. Mm-hmm. So, it's something that can be easily fixed by the fans if they just stop feeding into it. I will say this, as of late and here recently, Heyman fighters have fought each other. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, if he's able to get more talent underneath his belt, he may not need Golden Boy. He can go directly to Showtime and say, I got the fight, and let's cut the middleman out, and let's get even more money together.
Right.
So, in the long run, it could be something extremely bad for the sport, extremely bad for some of these other boxing promotions around, because if you really pay attention to it, Heyman is slowly but surely building his huge stable of fighters to where he can take them on his own and put them on a card on Showtime and not even use Golden Boy's leverage as a promoter. So in the long run, it can be bad for the sport. For short term, that is, it's good, and it's good those fighters are getting paid.
Yeah, no, it is very interesting to watch it all play out. That's why I wanted to bring it up and just shed a little bit of light on it there. He slowly is kind of raking them in left and right here. Moving forward, we got to see a little bit of kind of a preview of what's going to be taking place for April 12th on HBO pay-per-view, featuring a rematch between Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley. Now, over the course of the last year, we've seen a lot of different things go on here with both fighters. Pacquiao obviously losing that first controversial decision to Bradley, coming back and just getting annihilated by Marquez with that one shot. Timothy Bradley's been very vocal that he respects the guy, likes the guy, but doesn't believe he has that fire and that killer instinct to still be in the game. Brandon, right off the bat, I know you've been very vocal from the gate from a while back here on what your overall take was going to be with this one. Give us your preview. What's going to take place here for Pacquiao Bradley 2 April 12th?
In watching the face-off and listening to the Road to 24/7 here last night, you can definitely tell Manny Pacquiao isn't the same guy that he was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Granted, with age, his skills will diminish, but one thing that Tim Bradley said, and I completely agree with him with, is that Pacquiao seems to lack that fire and that killer instinct. This is a sport in boxing to where if you don't have those ill intentions when you're in the ring, you can get hurt. Example of that is what happened to Pacquiao when he fought Marquez the fourth time. If you don't go in and try to finish the fight when you can get knocked out and you can get hurt. In this case, if Pacquiao goes in there passive and not taking the fight, to Bradley, going out and trying to make it a very clear-cut win, Bradley can go out there and he could box his head off for 12 rounds. Now, will Bradley possibly get jerked over because of the judging and because of what happened in the first fight? Very, very possible. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I think his boxing skill is going to weigh out Pacquiao. I just don't see Pacquiao being the same fighter that he was. Granted, he's still great. He's still amongst one of the best fighters of all time, I believe. But that killer instinct is what's lacking and what's going to do him in when they fight him on the 12th.
Okay. Good breakdown. What about you, Steve? What's your thoughts?
I'm going to take Pacquiao in this fight. Yes, he has lacked the firepower. Last time he knocked down an opponent was Miguel Cotto in 2009. We haven't seen that same fire from him. So he needs to go out there. He's got to stop playing the nice guy and feeling sorry for his opponents. Just go out there and hurt him. He's got something to prove against Bradley. He needs to go out because he got robbed the last time. Bradley, thinks that he won. I don't know why he thinks he won, but he's got to go out there and prove something. And I think going out there and just going for the gusto, give it your all. In terms of Pacquiao being hurt, I don't think Tim Bradley has the punching power at all to hurt Manny Pacquiao. So the only way he's going to win this fight is by outboxing him, and I don't see it happening. Even if we see the same Manny Pacquiao that fought Brandon Rios, putting together, quick combinations, 2, 3, 4, 5 punches at a time, and just getting out, we're going to see Pacquiao win a dominant decision. Bradley's always going to have the odds against him. But I think in this fight, he's just overmatched as he was in the first fight. I don't care what anyone says. Bradley did not win that first fight. Pacquiao, obviously didn't have the passion for it to actually perform at a higher level, even though he was really dominant. I think this time he'll come out with that passion, and we'll see him, either score a late knockout or cruise to an easy unanimous decision.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still kind of partial myself about it there. After seeing the way that Bradley was in there, being able to trade with Provodnikov, I don't know if I can see Manny being able to go in and pull the trigger and finish into him, and Bradley with the heart that he's got, he's not going to just lie down. So still kind of on the fence at this one. Bradley proved me wrong definitely against Marquez last time. So speaking of Marquez, he's coming up and he's going to be touching gloves here with Mike Alvarado May 17th. A very interesting matchup. Marquez, who got clearly outclassed by Bradley, and we've seen another side of Bradley that many people didn't know existed. Alvarado, he's been on the tough end of some pretty big wars and some pretty big battles here. Brandon, what do you think is going to take place with these two getting in there and matching up?
I think, unfortunately for Mike Alvarado, he's facing a uphill battle here with Juan Marquez. I think he's going to have to. The thing is this: if Alvarado's aggressive, Marquez can counter him and knock him out.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes in there and just tries to box Marquez, it could end up being a boring fight. But I think Marquez, maybe learning from what happened in that loss to Tim Bradley, knows he may have to step up and become more of the aggressor if his opponent is not going to be the aggressor. I think Juan has a lot left still in the tank. I think he may actually have more tread than Mike Alvarado, and granted, they've both been in wars.
Yeah.
But I think the wars that Alvarado has been in have maybe shaved years off of his life, not off his boxing career, but actually his life. The bright side about this is, though, it's actually not on pay-per-view. It's going to be on regular HBO, so the fans don't have to worry about shelling out money for this, because at the end of the day, it's almost just a B-level fight.
Mm-hmm.
The Top Rank is throwing at us because that's all they have left in their stable. We don't really get many fresh faces from them, but this could be a fun fight to watch if both men come out and are aggressive. But I like Juan in this one relatively easy.
Yeah, Mike Alvarado has had a recorded pretty in public view here that his lifestyle outside of the ring too isn't the most shiny here. So he's obviously has a little bit of rough. I agree with you there, Brandon. That I think he's shaved quite a few years off his life with his lifestyle overall. Steve, what's your take on this? Does Alvarado have what it takes to pull the trigger here and derail Marquez, or do you think he's going to get taken to school here by the vet?
No, I give Alvarado a real good chance in this fight. He has a style to really give Marquez some problems. He's very aggressive, but yeah, he can also box very well. We've seen him box and do very well at it, and what happens when someone can actually box with Marquez, it throws Marquez off. Same way with Bradley. I think, Mike Alvarado, has got a lot of heart. I mean, he's got a lot in the tank. Yes, he has been in a lot of wars, like Brandon said. It's going to take some years. That's taken years off his life. But I don't think he's going to be going all the way down at this point. Somewhere in the future, yes. But as of now, I still think that he has something left to give Marquez a hard time. And Marquez is getting older and older with each fight. Other than catching Manny Pacquiao with a really good shot. he was losing that fight, and he was starting to lose it badly. And then he comes in against Bradley, and Bradley boxed the socks off of him. You know, so I don't know how much Juan Manuel Marquez has left in the tank. I'm really thinking that he's starting to wear down. So I'm going to take Alvarado in this fight.
Okay, well, good breakdown there. I'm going with Marquez on this one myself. I do agree with you in the sense that he's had some trouble with somebody that's getting in there and boxing with him, but in seeing Alvarado in his last outings here, he doesn't seem to be able to stick to the game plan when it comes to boxing. You know, he's got that fighter instinct. He wants to get in there and trade, and I think if he does that and falls victim to that, he's going to be on the bad end of some counter shots there by Marquez, who's very composed when he's in the ring. So I've got to pick Marquez on this one. Well, good stuff. Thanks, fellas. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in once again. TitleFight.com Roundtable. Got your boy Brandon Stubbs with PunchToTheFace.com every Wednesday. He's dropping some knowledge for you in the MMA scene. And make sure you download the new app, Google Play Store. We got a full version that's going to be in the works and getting dropped to you soon, along with the version for iPhone, so keep posted on that. Much love to everybody over at the Ultimate Sports Talk Network. And make sure you keep posted with us here every week. Till then, have a good one.